you can get to Google Classroom two ways. You can actually go to classroom.google.com, or you can log into your school Google account, go to your Google app. Some people call that the waffle, but it's this array of dots. And if you click there, all of your Google tools that your district has connected to your district account will be listed there. And one of those tools is the Google Classroom. It looks like an icon, like a chalkboard icon with people on it. So once you click there, it will take you to the landing page for Google Classroom. And in the top right corner, you will see a plus sign. Now, here's something to remember. When you click on that plus sign, if you are listed as a teacher within your district, then you will see two options. You will see a join class option, and you will see a create class option. Now, if you are only listed as a student for some reason, then you would just see this join class option. And what you would need to do at that point is reach out to your district Google administrator and let them know that you don't see the create the class option. All of the classes that you have created or are enrolled in will be listed here on your homepage. These three lines right here in the top left will show you at a quick glance your calendar. It will show you your to-do list with your Google Classrooms. It will show you all of the classes that you're teaching, as well as all of the classes that you're enrolled in. It also has this nice feature, settings. So if you click on settings, one of the reasons I wanted to share this is because if you are enrolled in multiple classes, or you have created multiple classrooms, then you may be getting notifications through your email as students upload documents or as you make changes. And so you may be getting lots of emails that you need some of them, but you don't need some of them. And so you have an option to turn off that email notification so that you don't receive an email every time something is changed in the classroom. And you just do that under settings by clicking these buttons right here. And then you can see the different places in which you can customize how you receive email notifications. So if you click on this first button, that will turn off all notifications and you won't receive any email notifications from Google Classroom. That may be what you want, but it may not be what you want. So if you want something that's a little more customized in the notifications that you receive, then you can click on these individual places right here so that you can turn off the notifications that you don't need every time a change is made, but you can keep the notifications that you would like to have. Going to go back to our SARIC class. This is our test class. We're going to work across the top of our Google Classroom. So we're going to start with the stream and move all the way over here to the settings in the right. The stream is the place where everything goes, right? It's just like our social media stream. It keeps us updated on the current announcements, current assignments that we have in the classroom, and it helps our students stay updated with everything that's going on in their classroom as well. It's just like social media. Most current posts are going to be first, with all of the other posts that have happened in the past below. Now, as a teacher, you can reuse those posts, or you can move a post to the top if you'd like to. You can see right here, I have some announcements and I have some assignments and some questions that have been created in the stream. One way, if I wanted to move a post to the top, is using these three buttons. And you'll see these three buttons throughout Google Classroom. On all of the tabs that we visit, you'll see three buttons in different ways. But you know that those three buttons will help you, what I like to say is do more, right? It'll give us more options for doing things. So if you click on three buttons on an announcement that you made or information that is in your stream, you have an option to move it to the top. So if this is something that you posted last week and you'd like to move it to the top, you can do that. You can edit the assignment or announcement from the stream. You also can copy the link and share that as well. Now, to create an announcement in the stream, you simply click where it says share something with your class, which will always be near the top of your stream. So if you click on it, you're able to say welcome, share information that you'd like. You're able to share files, links, YouTube videos, anything from your Google Drive you could share, and you do that by clicking on the add button, and then you have options for how you can share that. You could go ahead and post that announcement, or if you click on the drop down arrow beside the word post, then you can schedule it to post. So for example, if you want an announcement made every Monday morning at 8 o'clock for your students to remind them of assignments that they have in the week or things that you would like for them to be mindful of as the week progresses, then you could create all of them at one time and schedule them to post each one at 8 o'clock on Monday morning if that's what you choose to do. You also could save a draft if you wanted to go back and work on it later. Now, this is a nice feature for any of us who have multiple classrooms. So let's say I'm a biology teacher and I have 3 biology classes, and I'd like to post the same announcement in all of those biology classes. And I have them separated because, right, it keeps the roster separated on all of those Google Classrooms. And so I can do that in the stream when I'm on an announcement. Right under the word for, I can click that drop down arrow and it'll show me all of the classes that I could post this announcement to if I would like. And I just click on the classes that I would like, and then I can post it. I'm going to go ahead and post this so we can see, right, it filters right to the top. Now, we also can reuse a post from the stream, and we can do the same thing. We can share it to other classes as well, right? If I have 3 Google Classrooms for biology for 3 different class periods, but I want to share the same thing, then I can click on that class, I can click on the post that I would like to share, and I can reuse it. So it just helps us work efficiently in Google Classrooms where we have the same content that needs to be shared in multiple classes. This is something that I like about the stream. I definitely like to-do lists, and I like to mark things off of my to-do list. And so Google Classroom is great about organizing that for us and helping us stay on task. And so when you log into Google Classroom and you're on the stream page, if you look to the left where it says upcoming and you click view all, it lets you know at a quick glance as a teacher where you are in giving feedback to students. So it lets you know all of the work that's in progress. It lets you know what has been turned in, what has been assigned, what has been graded. So that's really helpful. Just for me, I like the fact that it can help me know where I am with all of the assignments that are in Google Classroom. You also, again, like I said, those 3 little dots will help us do more or have access to more settings. And so just like in the stream, in our to-do list or our work in progress section, those 3 little dots, we can mark things as reviewed. And then we also have a second tab that shows us our reviewed work. It looks like I have some work to do because I have not reviewed very many assignments in our test class. Now I'm going to navigate back to the classroom, and I'm going to do that by clicking on these 3 little lines in the top left corner and finding the class that I would like to visit and going, which is the SARIC class. Before I navigate to Classwork, I'd like to also talk a little bit about this banner. The banner is the purple area, the big purple area with the computer and the notebook and things like that. That's where your class name is. This is where your class code is. So if you don't want to invite students individually into your class, then you can share this class code with them and they can join Google Classroom. And just like we saw earlier with the plus sign back here in our home, right? We saw join class and create class. We would simply they would simply choose join class and enter that code. Now, you also can adjust your theme. So if you don't like purple and computers and a pen and a notebook, but you want something else that's more fitting to your class and your content area, then you could select a theme by clicking right here. And Google Classroom has lots of themes built in that you can select from. We'll choose this one today, and we click select class theme, and it will change the look and feel of our class. You also can upload your own photo if you'd like to do that as well. Before we navigate to the Classwork page, does anyone have any questions about the stream? Cynthia, did we have any questions in the chat window?
We just had one, and it was about whether we were going to be recording this session, and I said, yes, we're going to record it, and then we will be able to share it with them.
Great, yes, we are recording, and we will share it as well as the Google presentation. So, well, since we didn't have any questions on the stream, I am going to navigate to the Classwork page, and I feel like this is the page where we do a bulk of our work in Google Classroom, because the stream is simply a place where all of that information populates, right? It just shows that it's been posted, lets us know, oh, okay, I need to go check on that, right? But the Classwork is where we actually design and develop those activities for our students. And so really quickly, before we get started into creating assignments and quiz assignments and questions and things like that, I wanted to work across the top section, starting with this Create button. This Create button is where we create our activities. The next button is Google Calendar and the Class Drive folder. When you create a Google Classroom, both of these things are automatically created for you, your Google Calendar and your Class Drive folder. Your Class Drive folder is where all of the contents of your Google Classroom will be held. Okay, let's go back to Create. Now, under Create, we have Assignment, Quiz Assignment, and Question. And I stop at question because these first three items are activities in which we give something to students and we expect students to give something back to us. Just like in a face-to-face classroom, right? We give them an activity to work on and we expect an activity back from them. That's what these assignments are. This next classwork, type of classwork, is called material. This is where we're simply sharing information with students. We're giving them something, but we're not necessarily expecting anything back. Maybe we're sharing a link to a video. Maybe we're sharing links to several resources that they could use in gathering information for a project. But we're not expecting them to turn in anything to us on the material section. And then this next type of classwork is the reuse post. Just like we saw in the stream, we're able to reuse content from this. So thinking back to that biology example, right? We have 3 periods of biology. They each have their own separate classroom. We could create in one of the classrooms and share easily to the other 2 by reusing a post. And then this last feature is the topic feature. And the topics are ways that we can categorize our assignments. So if you look at my screen right now, you can see that I've categorized my topics by weeks. Week 1, and then I have the date, week 2, week 3, week 4. You'll find topics that work for you. It may be that you have subjects or content headings that you would like to use. It may be that you just simply have weeks without the dates, or you have dates. Whatever works best for your grade level and your content, but the idea of the topic is that it helps it organize the classwork for you as well as for the student, because they're able to come in here and filter by topics. And so when we think about the importance of that, we think about, right, the first week or so in Google Classroom, we may have just a few assignments, but as the weeks go on, our classwork page will get very busy. And so students would be able to come in here and select one topic and just look at the assignment for that topic. So it would help in chunking the material for them. Now, let's get started with making some of the assignments. Yes.
You have a couple of questions coming in.
Okay.
The first one is, when you choose certain students on the stream, do only the students you choose see the message?
Yes. Yes. So that's a great question. Thank you so much. I didn't even mention that, I don't think. I'm going back to the stream. I mentioned the classes here. You could select specific classes, but you also can select specific students. So right now I have all students seeing my post, but if I just wanted specific students like Brian, maybe I wanted him to know that I really want you to use these resources. I've looked at his work. I have some feedback for him. I want to remind him to use these resources. Then I could select just for him to receive that stream announcement. That was a great question.
Okay, you have another one. If I delete a post from the stream page, a post about an assignment, will it delete the assignment?
Yes. So if you are deleting it, yes. Now, I might ask a clarifying question on that. When you say you're deleting it from the stream, are you moving it somewhere? Are you going in here and editing it? Because your classwork page would be where you have the option to delete those assignments. And if you delete it from the classwork, then yes, it would delete it from the stream. Those were great questions.
Okay, I think we have a follow-up. So the topics are like tags?
Yes, that's a great analogy. That's a perfect analogy. I don't know who said that, but I might use that on the next training. They're exactly like tags, right? You're categorizing, you're grouping so that students can click on that and they can just see those assignments under that tag or that topic or that heading or category. It takes all of this information and sort of categorizes it for them and for you, so that if they don't want to look at it all together, they can just look at a certain area of assignments or classwork.
Can you create a subtopic within a topic?
No, but that's a great feature. I would love that. And whoever asked that, let me show you this really neat feature. I actually used it just this week. I had one of the teachers that I had an opportunity to work with before coming to SARIC. She sent me a text and said, I know you're doing a Google Classroom session on Friday, but I have a pre-question. And so she was asking me something to do with the people tab, and it didn't have the feature she wanted. And so you can give Google feedback, and they love feedback, and they use our feedback to make improvements on all of their tools. And you do that by looking at the bottom left of your screen, this little question mark. And you can do a lot of different things. You can look at what's new. That's also where you can find some help information, some tutorials, some step-by-step job aids for working through something. You can report an issue, but you also can request a feature. So if you click on request a feature, you can send Google feedback about a feature you would like to see added to Google Classroom. So that's a great thing to use. I used it yesterday.
Okay, and we'll do one more and let you get back. Do the students get a notification that you have sent them a post message in the stream?
Yes, any changes that you make, if you add something to Classwork or Stream, if they have not turned off those notifications, remember that very first thing I said that we could do as teachers, if we were getting too many notifications, right in the settings over here in the 3 bars and the settings, we could turn off notifications. If they have not turned those off, then yes, they will receive notifications when something new is added. That's a great question. It also will, we're going to look at the student side in just a little bit, but when they log in, it will also show them what is new. Google is really good about providing us lots of ways to see what work still needs to be done. These are great questions. Keep them coming. We love them. Okay, so let's talk about the classwork and get into creating some assignments. So under the classwork tab at the top, I'm under create if you're doing this with me. And then the first one I'm going to create is create just a general assignment, right? This is that example that we talked about at the beginning. I'm giving my students something to work on and I expect them to complete it and return it to me, just like in a face-to-face classroom. So I'm going to give it a title, give some directions. And here is where the add and create button, this is where I will be able to share resources with the students. So when we think about sharing resources, we can share a variety of resources with the students. So maybe in my instructions, I say, please read. Maybe we're sharing an article with them. Maybe we're sharing a video that we want them to watch. Maybe we're sharing a screen recording that we've created explaining a new concept. And we have saved these files in some place, whether it's in our Google Drive, whether it's on Link, whether it's on our desktop, right, or on a thumb drive that we have. And we can add those here so that students have all the materials they would need to review before completing the assignment, but we also can create within the assignment a document or a Google slide or drawing that they also would complete. So if you click on add, you can add anything from your Google Drive. You could add a link, you could add a file, or you could add something from YouTube if you wanted them to watch a video. So those, I think of those as the instructional materials, right? Those are the instructional materials that we're providing to students to review, to read, to watch before they complete an assignment. Or maybe during, while they're completing the assignment. I know my daughter, she's watching screen recordings of her math teacher, and the math teacher says, please pause and complete this activity. And then she starts the video again. So it may be something like that. Now, the second button, create, this
Stephanie,
is where you might
for a minute.
Create. What now?
Can I pause you for a minute?
Yes, please jump in.
Okay, so when you're uploading the assignments, can there be more than one file into an assignment?
Yes, that's a great question. There absolutely can be more than one file in an assignment. So let me find, we're going to go with the old McDonald song, just because it's easy to find. Let me go back. Sorry, give me just a minute. There we go. Okay, so we can add a link. We also could add a file from Google Drive. And let's see, we'll add this introduction to Google Classroom. So here are multiple files. You could continue adding files for them to review. Now, if you see when I added the Google the introduction to Google Classroom, that is a Google slide. So Google Classroom is automatically realizing, okay, this is a Google slide. What do you want students to do with it? And I need to tell the classroom what I want students to do with it. If it's something that I've created and I just want them to review it, then students viewing the file would be completely appropriate, right? But if it's something I want them to edit or to make a copy for each student, then I could do that as well. So let's say these are the resources that we want our students to review, but then we also want them to respond to us in a Google document. So then we would create the document. Google Classroom is going to create it and bring us here as the landing page, right? Here's where we could add some scaffolding, some direction, some structure. If we wanted to make a T-chart or we wanted to make a table that students need to complete. So we would give it a name, right? And we would provide some additional directions. Now, this is what we would want to think about when we went back to our Google Classroom, right? How do we want them to interact with this document? Because this may be the document that we're wanting students to provide information back to us so we can gauge their understanding or monitor their progress, right? So we probably, in that situation, wouldn't want students to view the file. Now, the second option is for students to edit the file. Now, we could have everyone edit the file. That's one of the advantages, right, of the Google Suite that we talked about earlier, is that it's a collaborative space. And so the design of all of these tools is that students collaborate. Now, one of the flip side of that, I guess, is that if you select students can edit this file, that means everybody in third period biology is going to be editing one file, right? So let's say 35 students are going to be editing one file. That may be completely appropriate given a specific activity, but it may not be what you're wanting in this assignment. It may not match your learning objective. Maybe you want a copy for each student. You want to know where each student is in this process. And so then you would go to the last option, which is make a copy for each student. That was a great question. Yes, you can add multiple files. Now, the right side of the screen, this is where you customize your assignment. So this is where you tell Google Classroom, okay, which class is this for? Is it for multiple classes? Remember, we talked about that. We may have 3 periods of biology and they're all getting the same information. You can design it in one class, but share it in multiple classes. So this is where you would do that. Now, you also, someone asked about the stream and the students. You also can use the student feature in Classwork, and this may be where you provide some differentiation. Some groups receive one assignment while other groups receive another assignment. And so I want to go back, thinking about that thought, I want to go back to our assignment where we had an option of how we wanted students to interact with it, right? If we're creating assignments for groups of students, then we may want them to be able to edit the file as a small group. That may be a great way in which we would use that feature of an assignment. Now, we also would give our assignment points, or it could be ungraded. We can also give our assignment a due date so that students know what the expectation is. We can also put a time on there if we'd like for the due date. Now, the topics, this is the part that I feel is really nice, right? Sometimes we know exactly the headings that we would like. When we go into Google Classroom, we know that we're going to use these headings, and we could go ahead and set them up, or these topics. But there may be times where we're creating an assignment and we think, okay, well, that doesn't really fit into any of my topics. Maybe I want to create a new topic. And so we can do that within the assignment. We can either choose a topic that has already been created by us, or we can create a new topic for our assignment to be placed in. These last two features are also really exciting. They're relatively new features to Google Classroom. One is a built-in rubric. So you can build a rubric for your students to see, and you can place the indicators within that rubric. You also can click the originality reports. And so what this will do, you have an option to use this on 3 assignments. So right now, yes, we do have to use it sparingly, right, on those assignments that we really want to know the originality report. But if we're asking students to write a paper and we want to check the originality of that, what Google will do, they use a third party, and they will compare the writing in that paper to the writing on the internet. And so it will let you know if they have any areas in the paper in which there's flagged content that may match something that is also online.
Right,
Now,
Stephanie, I'm going to ask you a few questions before you move forward.
yes.
Can students type on a PDF uploader under Create?
Okay, that's a great question. So let's say we have a PDF of an activity that we want, and we upload it. Unless our students have some type of app in their Google Drive, and there are apps that will allow them to do that. Now, I would encourage you to reach out to the people in your district, whoever that may be, your principal, if that's the first contact in your district, to ask which apps are approved. But one particular app is called Kami. It's Kami, and it is a PDF writer, and so students would be able to write on that. Now, another idea that you could do, because a PDF is a picture, so technically they could not write on it unless they have a tool that allows them to do that. What you could do is you could use Google Slides, and this would probably be a whole nother session, but you can format Google Slides to be the size of a piece of paper, and you could save that as the background, and then students would be able to lay text on top of it. So there are options, I guess, to getting around students not being able to edit a PDF, but if you just put a PDF on Google Classroom, no, they would not be able to edit. They would need some other type of tool, or we would need to design it in some way that allows them to edit. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, Stephanie, and if you choose to let students if you choose students can edit, does it edit for everyone's view? As in, if they type on it, does everyone see those answers?
Okay, let me restate the question to make sure I'm answering it correctly. If I choose the students can edit file, when the students click on it, I'm in a group of 5. Would all 5 of us see the edits and comments?
Yes, that's the question.
Yes. Then the answer is yes, that would happen. That's a good question.
Okay, can students click links in Google Slides using the view only, or they have to have their own copy?
Can they click links in Google Slides? So like if we posted this Google Classroom right here, this slide, you want to know if they could click those links? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay, let me show you a link that I have on here. So what it'll look like for students is the link will be a hyperlink if they click on it, and it will take them directly to that site. Now, if you want it to just be a hot link in that all they have to do is hover their mouse over it and click it, then if they put it in present mode, then that's what would happen. See how my mouse is now a hand, and I can just click on it and it will automatically take me there. So I guess the answer to that is yes and no. Yes. Yes, in the fact that if they're looking at it like this, how we're looking at it right now, yes, they can click on it, but it's sort of like a two-step process. You have to click and then look for the link to come up. But if they put it in present mode, and that just may be a tip that you want to put out there, if you're looking at it in present mode, then you would be able to just click on them like hot links.
Okay.
Great
and
question.
One more question, and I'll let you get rolling again. Is it possible to take multiple days of lessons and put them into a folder for the week?
Well, so I guess that's maybe how you could use your topics, in that you could, I'm thinking if I'm going along the lines of the question, you're saying, like, maybe I have 3 hours and I want to sit down and I want to create a week's worth of lessons at one time, but I don't want them all to be posted just yet because they're for next week or 2 weeks from now. So what you could do is create that topic, right, which would sort of be like a folder in Google Classroom, sort of, as a comparison. And you could put all of those assignments under that topic, and then you could schedule them to post. And so that actually is a perfect segue back into the classwork section, because that is where we were going next. So we have created everything we want to create on our assignment. And if we go up here, we could automatically assign it, meaning it's going to show up in classwork. They're going to see it in the stream, right? If they have email notifications set up, our students are going to get an email notification that Miss Hulan posted an assignment in the classroom that I need to complete. Now, our last question that said, is there a way to sort of create these and hold them, I guess, until we're ready to post? That would be where this drop-down arrow would be really helpful. Instead of just assigning it, we can schedule it to post.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we click on the date. Let's say we're designing this today on the 17th, but we don't want it to post until the 27th. And then we would schedule the time to post. Now it's giving me a message that the due date is the 24th. So I would need to choose a date before that. So let's say the 20th, and we could schedule that to post. Now you also could save it as a draft, and so students wouldn't see it either as a draft. But the only way to organize it within Google Classroom would be to use those topics, and either save it as a draft or schedule it to post. And so that way students wouldn't see it. And I'll show you, I'll schedule this one to post. Now, do you see how the assignment under week 5 and week 4 are sort of grayed out? That means that they're not live for students. So they're scheduled, one is scheduled to post on the 27th at 8, and one is scheduled to post on the 28th at 8. Now, the other ones are this purple color because students can see them. They are on my classwork page. They're also in my stream. Now, if you scroll down here to week 1, under April 6th, April 10th, we'll see that this using Google Classroom assignment, it is also grayed out because it's a draft. So this sort of relates to the question we were just talking about. How can I create assignments and put them into a topic and sort of save them until I'm ready to use them, or continue to work on them until they're finished?
Stephanie,
all right.
If you post that assignment, can you go back and schedule it?
Okay, so that's a great question. So remember earlier we talked about those 3 dots. We'll see those 3 dots again on the classwork page. So I'm going to look at this technology and education infographic. It's already posted for students in the classwork. It showed up in my stream. So if I go to these 3 dots and click here, then I can go back in and edit this. Now, you'll see that because I'm going back and editing it, some of my features are not there, right? One of the features that's missing is that make a copy for every student. So that's missing because I'm going back in and editing. I'm not actually creating this for the first time. And another feature that's missing, right, is this assign button or schedule button, because I had already created it. So I can edit some things, but not everything.
Okay. And if you schedule an assignment, can you schedule an assignment when you have selected several classes? So I think the question is, if you have an assignment, can you post it to several classes?
Yes. You would use this for feature to post for several classes. These are all great questions. Thanks so much for asking wonderful questions today. Okay, I am really quickly, because our time is getting close to 2. It's 1:45, and we definitely want to make it through the people and the grades and the setting. We were under Create, under the Classwork page. We looked at an assignment. Let's look at a quiz assignment really quickly, because you're going to feel very comfortable with this. It looks just like the other assignment, except the difference is Google Classroom already gives you the blank quiz. You just go in there and edit it. So you click on it, and the quiz is created with Google Forms, and that is definitely something that maybe we could offer as an additional session, because that could take an hour just working through all of the settings on forms and how you provide the answer key and the points and things like that. But Google Classroom does already know that you want this to be a quiz, and creates that blank quiz for you, and also adds this grade importing option. Now on the right, you see all of those other options. So you can select all of the classes that you want it posted to. You could select students that you want it posted to, the points, the due date, also putting it under a specific topic, excuse me. And then once I add a title and instructions, then this assign button would turn purple, and I would be able to assign it, or to schedule it, or to save it as a draft. Now, this third type of classwork is a question. This is where we ask students a question, and we want them to comment on Google Classroom. Now, in our settings, in just a minute, we're going to look at those settings, and you have an option to customize those settings and how you want students to comment. Do you want them just to be able to comment on the question, or do you want them to be able to comment to one another's post and add comments to another student's thoughts? And it works very similar to that assignment, in that instead of a title, you would put the question right here. So what technology tools do we use our students? And then you have an option to do short answer or multiple choice. So if you wanted just to gauge their understanding on a topic, you could do that, but you also can allow them an open-ended response as well. You can also ask add a file or create a file. So if you wanted them to read something and respond, to watch a video and respond, then you could do that as well. And you will see on the right side, the features are the same as we saw with our assignments, in that we can choose the classes, we can choose the students, the points, the due dates, and the topics. Now here you can choose if students can reply to each other, or if students can edit the answer after they have posted it. Now, instead of assign, remember on the assignment and the quiz assignment, we saw that purple button, which mine is purple, not yours might not be purple, but we saw the word assign. This time we see the word ask, because this is a question with the goal of it being that students will respond on Google Classroom, and that you will respond as the teacher on Google Classroom. But some of the same features are there. We can schedule the question to post. We can save it as a draft if we know what the question is, but maybe we're trying to find the resources that we want to use for them to review before answering, all of those things. And then when we're ready, we can click ask to ask the question. I wanted to show you this really quickly with this assignment. Do you see how it's floating up here, so to speak, without a home? And that's because I didn't assign it a topic. So if we had all of our assignments without topics, then they would be listed up here. And that's the way in which the topics really help us with that organizational feature of Google Classroom. Now, sometimes, if you may not be like me, but sometimes I do forget to select the topic I want, and I have to go back in and edit it, or I can click and drag the assignment and into the topic where I want, which is really helpful because sometimes I'm creating assignments and then I decide, well, I want them in a different order, or maybe they need to be in a different unit. And so I can easily move them by clicking and dragging, which is really nice. Okay, so we've gone over the first 3 types of classwork. Remember, those types of classwork are situations where we, as the teacher, say, here's information I want you to do something with, and then I want you to do something and return something to me. I wanted to show you really quick before we go. I'm going to stop my screen share, and I'm going to share the student side so that you can see what that looks like as well. Okay, so this is the student side of Google Classroom, right? Those assignments that we just created. When they log in here, we talked about they would only see the join class. Now, this particular student has already joined the class, and these are all made up students, or either my husband that's in the classroom. So when I go here, right, I see that my teacher just posted a question that I need to answer. I also have that same feature just like we had as a teacher, right? I have a little box on my stream that will show me all of the things that I'm working on and the things that I'm missing, right? I can filter by the things that have been assigned to me, by the things that have been returned to me, or just the things that I'm missing, so I know, okay, I need to work on that. I need to get that in. Now, if I go to Classwork and I click on an assignment, here's an assignment with a rubric. I can view the rubric to see what is expected of me. I also can click on this particular assignment has a Google drawing, and I can work on that and I can submit it. Now, with here's an example of one that's a Google document. Do you see this turn in button? This is what the students would see, and they would be able to click that and turn that in. And they also would have a turn in button on their assignment in the classroom. Now they also can unsubmit that. Now this is something to think about as well. Once a student turns something into you, I know in the past when I've worked with students and teachers, one of the questions that has come up is a student might say, well, I don't have access. I can't find that file that I turned into Ms. Telon. And that's because just like in a face-to-face class, when they give you a piece of paper, right, in this digital format, they're giving you a digital paper. And they no longer have access to that. They would have to click unsubmit if they wanted to go back in and edit it. It has been turned in and submitted to you as the teacher, and so they're not able to manipulate it.
Hey,
anymore.
Stephanie, if they put a hyperlink into an assignment, will it allow the students to view only that link, or will it allow them to access other videos?
Will you, I'm sorry, I was trying to navigate to another screen. Will you share that question again for me?
Yes, if they embed a hyperlink into an assignment, they can only see that link. They can't go see other videos, right?
Well, that would depend on their district settings. Like as far as like if you take them to YouTube, if they're able to view YouTube, that would depend on your district settings. If they're able to view comments on that video, that would be in your district settings as well. They could navigate, yes, I mean, technically they could navigate to other sources.
Okay. And then
That
one
was,
last question.
that was a good question.
If you return work to the students in a Google Classroom, do they see only the grade you gave them on the assignment instead of the actual assignment? And I think you just touched on that because they'd have to turn it in. If you have set all the Google form features to not allow them to see the questions, answers, etc. She doesn't want the students to be able to share responses with those who haven't completed the assignment yet, but she wants to allow them to see their scores.
So are we talking about an assignment or a quiz?
They didn't say that. I think it's
Okay, like an assignment, you're giving them feedback. Okay, so I think if I hope I'm answering this question correctly. So if you are in a student's assignments, let me refresh my page, then you will be able to give them a private comment. Now, they could technically copy and share that private comment, but as far as Google Classroom, no, other students would not see that feedback from you. So let's see.
But they could share it.
Could students share it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, yes, they could copy and paste it and send it, you know, in a Google document, or if they're above 13 and your district has their email feature turned on, then, I mean, yes, technically, yes, they could, but Google Classroom is not set up so that everyone would see their feedback.
Right. And say if they submit a test and they do poorly and the teacher wanted test corrections or things like that done on it, can they send that back to the student to redo?
Yes, yes, you can. Okay, so that's a great question for where we are right now. And I know that because it's 1:56, I quickly clicked here to show this, but I got here I was in my Google Classroom, right? Found my assignment. It tells me who's turned it in, who's assigned, how many students have been assigned the activity, and how many are graded. Now, I knew this one was graded because I did this before our session today. And so I clicked on it. It brought me to that student's work. This particular student, I had run an originality report. They had some flagged passages. You can see right here to the right. If I click on that flagged passage, it'll take me to the exact source online where that came from. And so I wanted to return this document to the student. So I gave the student some information, right? Remember, when we're using the thoughts and ideas and words of others and submitting assignments, that would be plagiarism, right? So now I want the student to think about that, and I want the student to let's say I want to return the assignment and want the student to re-complete the assignment. So I could click return. Now, I could allow two options. I could return this submission, or I could return multiple submissions. So if we had multiple files that we had assigned to students, then we could return all of them at one time. They also would see this private comment. Now, other students would not see it. But again, like I said, I mean, I guess they could copy and paste it if they wanted to, but it is a private comment between that student and the teacher. Those are great questions. I'm going to try in 2 minutes or less. I'm going to try to move us really quickly through the last few tools on here. So under Create, we have material. That's where you would just share resources. You're not expecting anything back. At Reuse Post, you would be able to reuse any of the assignments that you have created. within a class, you would be able to share it with multiple classes, and you have the opportunity to edit that as well. And then if you know all of your topics, you know how you're going to organize your classes, then you could simply just create topics, and then they would all be listed there for you when you began creating assignments. Or maybe the question earlier about the folder, maybe this is what you want to do and create those drafts under those weeks, and then you could either manually post them or you could schedule them to post. The people tab across the top, this is where you add co-teachers. You simply click on the plus sign with the person, you type in their email. So let's say Cynthia from SARIC, I want to invite her as a co-teacher. Click invite, and it will send her an invitation. Now, she does have to accept that invitation to be able to be added, and then she's able to share and create files and assignments in the classroom just like I could. You also can invite students, or you can give them that class code that we talked about at the beginning. You can invite guardians. So if you click on this, you're able to type an email. Let's say that you receive from iNow, so that you can invite parents to receive guardian summary. So it will tell them all the assignments that need to be done, progress that their student is making in Google Classroom. If you sign them up for guardian summaries, then they also will receive summaries from any Google Classroom that their child is enrolled in. So think about those middle school and high school students who are in multiple Google Classrooms. Their parents would receive one email that chunks it by history, English, math, and gives them the updates for that. And then finally, this grades feature, this is where you'll see all of your students, you'll see all of the assignments, what's missing, what's been graded. This is also where you can return or view submissions by students. If you click on an assignment, you can look at who has turned it in, who has not turned it in. You can view the student's work, and you can navigate from one student to another student using these arrows right here. You also can navigate through their work as well. And the final feature, I know that we're 1 minute over, is the settings feature. This is where you could change the name of your class. You also can get your class code here. You can adjust how students see the stream and if they're able to comment or not comment. This is the only teachers can comment. How classwork is seen on the stream. So if you want to hide those notifications, you can. You can show deleted items or not show deleted items. You can sign up for the Guardians. Google Meet is integrated with Google Classroom now, so you can get your Google Meet link here, but you also can show it and have it visible to students on that front page too, if you like. The grading, you can set up your grading categories. If your district has very specific grading categories, you can do that here, as well as your points, whether it's using a total points or weighted by category.